There's something I find really interesting about certain game consoles, and it isn't necessarily an age thing or even a technical thing, but more of a thing for strange or obscure consoles that are mostly kind of forgotten by time. And while I'd like to eventually cover a bunch of consoles like that on my channel, I thought a good starting point would be Zeebo Inc.'s self-titled console, the Zeebo. According to the San Diego-based company, their primary mission was to develop a system that could be targeted at countries with developing markets. While many countries were under Zeebo's eye, such as India, Russia, China, and other parts of Latin America, the console was only ever released in Brazil and Mexico. In order to keep down on import costs and overall development resources, Zeebo had their consoles manufactured within Brazil and Mexico themselves. This likely is what helped keep the overall cost of the console down, launching in both two countries at the equivalent of approximately $249, though it later dropped down to $180. And this was in 2009, making the Zeebo a 7th generation console when it was released, and while that release date made it the last console to be released when compared against its bigger console siblings, the Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360, it was also the cheapest. And boy oh boy, would you look at what an American-developed, Brazilian/Mexican manufactured 7th console generation system could present us with, really. There were only 57 games developed for this thing, and a good chunk of them were either older arcade games or redeveloped mobile versions of games like Resident Evil 4. However, for what the Zeebo lacked in graphical fidelity and game library, it was oddly ahead of its time in one way, and that was digital downloads. Obviously, the other 7th gen consoles had digital downloads, but take a look at the Zeebo here. No disk drive or cartridge slot. This console distributed its whopping 57 games through digital downloads only. For collectors of physical games, this might sound nightmarish to envision a day when perhaps this will entirely be the norm, but the flip side is that the console came with a 1GB flash card that, though replaceable with something larger if you so chose, it was to be fitted into a console where the games were the size of Game Boy games. The Zeebo also had access to 3G connectivity, which is how you accessed its library to purchase games online through the system for download, and with game files so small, download speeds were hardly a factor of concern. The only downside to this is you couldn't just buy the games outright. You had to first purchase a set of Z coins within the system, and then buy the game with those points. Even then, this was still a generous system. Tying back in with the Zeebo's low cost of purchase, part of the deal was that games were incredibly affordable, with most games having a max cost of $15. Unfortunately, for as far as I can tell or unknown reasons, Zeebo the company stopped the production of Zeebo the console in late 2011, with all its online services in both Brazil and Mexico ceasing on September 30th of that year. This meant that while gamers could keep all their purchase games on the system and continue to use it, you could no longer purchase new games. And this isn't really a common console, believe me, I've looked, so even if you could find a used one, you'd better hope that it comes with most of those games to get your money's worth. Perhaps I just didn't look hard enough, but while doing research for this video, I found there really isn't a ton of stuff out there for this thing. But I guess when looking at a console as odd as this, especially considering what a short lifespan it had, I shouldn't have expected too much. I wasn't able to find much in the way of sales information on this thing, how much money it made, or how many units it sold, which could mean it really didn't sell well, and is therefore sort of a rare console, but what can you do? In the end, we got this unusual and quirky little device, living out its short existence tucked away in another part of the world for Brazilians and Mexicans to enjoy. And while I may not ever get a chance to have a used Zeebo for myself, I'd love to hear the stories of those that have owned one. The Zeebo really does strike me as an underdog when put up against the other consoles it was competing up against at the time. It was underpowered, sure, but to me, I think it had potential. Hello, you made it to the end of the video. I just wanted to say thanks for watching, and to welcome everyone to the channel. As you can see, this is my first video, and I'm still learning the ropes of Adobe Premiere and After Effects and all that. I'm totally new to it, but it's been a lot of fun, and I hope in the future I can bring other videos like this and even better to the channel. I'm mostly going to focus on video game related content, anime and manga, movies, that sort of thing. I want to do a lot of retrospectives and just kind of analytical videos like this, but hopefully my general presentation will get better, my speaking will get better, and hopefully my writing and video editing skills will get better as well. So with that out of the way, again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.